Hey, welcome to Healed Part 9. I know we're getting pretty far into this section now, and we've only got two more left. Just a quick recap of where we've been so far. If you want to live a healthy, whole life in Jesus, there are some things that you can do which really rely on allowing Jesus to do all the hard work. In part one, we talked about how we need to let Jesus reveal to us what needs to be removed from our lives. In part two, we talked about how then we have to fill that void with good things so that the enemy doesn't come and try to fill it with negative things. In part three, we talked all about how Jesus is willing to help us if we are willing to partner with him for our own health. Then in part four, we talked about the importance of having a plan. You can only move forward if you know where you are going. But for that plan to work, in part five, we talked about we need to implement it little by little. We can't just do it all at once or we will get overwhelmed. As we do that, we want to track our progress. And that's what we talked about in part six. Part seven, we talked about the reality that you are going to struggle and you need to expect it so that it doesn't throw you off course. In part eight, we talked about the fact that as you struggle, you have to stop punishing yourself. Jesus has already taken all of your sin on the cross, so it's not yours to carry as a burden any longer. In this section today, we're going to talk about possibly one of the most important aspects of all, being consistent. If you want to be healthy, then you need to be consistent in living these things out day by day. Let's be honest, you're not going to feel like it all the time. There's going to be moments where you wake up and you just feel like, I just really don't want to do this today. I want to go back to those old behaviors. I want to think the way that I used to think. I want to talk the way that I used to talk. And all of a sudden, you'll have all of these tempting ideas and thoughts that will rise up into your mind. And if you'll allow them, man, they will pull you off course really easily. I want to share with you a story of something that happened to me. So, in my own personal journey of weight loss, I had this kind of come to Jesus moment one day. I had successfully lost about 140 pounds and I was feeling pretty good. And I went on a trip overseas. God blessed me with the ability to go to Israel. And while I was there, I got a little bit of off track from my daily routines. So when I came back a few weeks later, well, I wasn't exactly in the same mindset that I had been before. And so I began to allow some old behaviors to creep in. I started to eat some of the wrong foods, especially late at night, and I noticed some of the weight beginning to creep back on pretty steadily. Well, one day I got on the scale and I realized that I had gained 50 pounds back, 50. Now, in that moment, I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up. Everything inside of me was just screaming, no! How could you have let this happen again? How could you have allowed yourself to backtrack so far? And all I could think of was, I don't have it in me again to make up this 50 pounds and then start going. And so it was like the whole world slowed down, and I'm standing there looking down at that scale, and I see myself going to the store and buying like a dozen donuts and a half a gallon of chocolate milk, and just thinking to myself, you know what? I'm done. I can't keep fighting anymore. I can't keep going around this mountain. I keep losing. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be happy. I'm going to be overweight. And you know what? I might develop diabetes, and chances are I'm probably going to live a much shorter life than what I would have if I was healthy. But man, I'm not going to have to fight and struggle anymore. And I heard the Lord very clearly that day speak to my heart and say, that's an option. That is a choice that you can make. And you know, if you do that, you are going to die early and you're going to miss out on some things, but you'll still come to heaven. I'm still going to love you and you can still have a relationship with me. But you're going to miss out on so much that I have planned for your life because it's going to hold you back from fulfilling and completing your purpose. In Luke chapter 16, verse 10, it says, if you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful in large ones. But if you are dishonest in the little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibility. You see, we have this call from the Lord to be faithful every single day. And that's where consistency plays in our health. Because to be healthy simply means making the little right decisions over and over and over again on a daily basis, sometimes on a moment by moment basis. And in the beginning, consistency takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of your conscious thought to where you're just regularly having to tell yourself, okay, I've got to do this, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do this. But the good news is, the way that our brains are wired, the way that God made us, well, over time, as we are consistent, it just becomes natural. It just becomes the way that we do things that we don't even really have to think about anymore. I remember when I first started going to the gym, it took everything I had to get up out of bed and get my clothes on and head to the gym. Now it just, my body wakes up at the same time every day and I'm just ready to get there. And if I miss the gym one day, I feel like something's off. I feel like something's missing and I can tell that I haven't done something that my body's used to doing. So take heart. Consistency might seem almost impossible when you're beginning, but if you will commit to being faithful to the Lord, to what the Lord is calling you to do, you will get there. So the second part of that story, I'm sitting there on the scale and I've got this decision to make. And the Holy Spirit saying to me, you can do that, or you can allow me to bring some change in your life. And all of a sudden, all of those things that I learned how to do, all of those principles and those little disciplines, they came back to me. And that plan that I had developed and began to live out before that had helped me to lose the 140 pounds began to come back. And I realized that if I would just be consistent, it would pay off. And a year later, I can tell you I was a completely different person. Now, am I perfect? Absolutely not. Do I always get it right every single day? Nope, I sure don't. But I'm so much better off now with the level of consistency that I have in my life than what I had before. Because every single day, I know that I have a decision to make. And it's my decision. I'm no longer held captive to that one thing anymore because I gave it over to Jesus and He allowed me to fill that space with good things. And I know that He is willing if I am willing to work with Him. And so the plan has come into place. It was put into action little by little, and there has been struggles and there have been mistakes made along the way. But when I make the decision, those little choices over and over and over to do what's right, I see the good results. And it has allowed me to regain health that I never imagined was possible for my life. And I know that if you're willing to be consistent, even though it doesn't sound fun or easy, if you're willing to do that, Jesus will do things in your life that you never dreamed possible.